Hey guys, welcome to the video. This is part 8 in our series on how to budget, and we have already come all the way from setting up that initial budget to paying off our debt, and now we are going to increase our savings. If you're new around here, I'm Kassy with makingtimeforgiggles.com, and I make videos all about how to streamline your home. So if that sounds like something you would be into, be sure to subscribe down below and ring the bell next to it so you will be notified when the next video comes out. All right, in this video, we are going to talk about what to do once you have paid off your debt to set yourself up for budgeting success. Now, if this is the first video you are watching in the series, I do recommend you checking out the other videos because they are all in order and it will walk you all the way through creating that perfect budget for your family. I will link all of the other videos in the cards and in the description down below if you want to check those out. All right, so now you have paid off your debt and you are ready to start spending some money, right? Well, not exactly. First, we need to build up our savings accounts. And then once that is done, you will have much more freedom with what you do with your money, and you won't always feel like your money is telling you what to do. Instead, you will be in charge of how you spend that money, and you will be able to be responsible with how you save it, how you spend it, and you will make sure you are only spending your money on things that matter to you. Now, just like in all of the other videos, we will be using the Money Mastery Workbook, and I will be using the savings account trackers, and there are 3 sheets in the workbook, but of course you can print more off if you want more savings accounts than this. And if you just have the Google Sheet, you don't have the workbook, you will have a tracker also. There's a tab for that in the Google Sheet that you can check out. And of course, if you don't have either of these, that's okay. You can either create your own Google Sheet. If you want to do that and you aren't quite sure how, go back and check out that last video that I did because I show you pretty much all of mine, and you can easily put that into a new Google Sheet if you want to set your own up and you don't want to have to figure it all out by yourself. So be sure to check out that video. Or if you don't want to go the Google Sheet or Excel route, that's okay too. You can grab a notebook and you can just create your own tracker in a notebook. And you can even have some fun with it. You can make some thermometers if you want to and really make it fun and exciting. The savings account trackers that I have look pretty much like this. And the difference in the 3 pages is just the different account types. So basically what we're going to do here is the opposite of what we have been doing with the paying off the debt. So you should have that extra amount that you put towards the principal. That includes the increase in your income, that includes the decrease in your expenses, and now it includes all of the minimum payments that you had been putting toward your debt. So instead of just going out to eat more or going on some vacations real quick, what we want to do first is build up our savings accounts. And what we have found is the more savings accounts you have, the easier it is to track all of your money. If you just throw everything into one account, it can be really easy to accidentally spend your children's college money on a new car or spend your car money on a vacation, or you get the idea. And if you have separate accounts for each thing that you need to be saving money for and then spending money on, it's just much neater and you can clearly, easily see at a glance how much you have for each item. But just like when we were paying off debt, you want to do these one at a time so that you can easily build it up and then move on to the next one. But here's kind of where the other opposite part comes in. So when we were paying off the debt, we would take that minimum payment and start applying it to the next one. When we have a savings account built up, what we actually want to do is leave a minimum payment. So I'll show you kind of how this works, and you can let me know in the comments if you have any questions or if it makes sense for you. But the first savings account that I think everyone should have is an emergency savings account. And you'll find all kinds of different suggestions on the internet for how much should be in here. Some say 1,000, some say 5,000, some say 3 months salary or 3 months expenses, some say 6 months expenses, some say a year's expenses. Ultimately, it is up to you. But I do think it's wise to build it up as much as possible while you have this extra money, for lack of a better term, floating around. You haven't already incorporated that into your budget, so now is the best time to build these up. So you're going to put in your goal, you're going to put what your monthly amount that you're adding, and you're going to keep track of the total in your account until you reach the total goal. So figure out, how much do I want to have? What would make me comfortable to have in an emergency savings account? So let's say that you decide, I want to have $10,000 in this account because if I lose my job, I don't want to have to stress about expenses for a couple of months while I look for a new job. So you're going along, you're putting the money in, and then you get to the point where you have $10,000 in here. Fantastic. But now what you want to do is you want to decide, I'm going to put a monthly payment into this account so that even as inflation increases, or even if I have to dip into this emergency savings account for some reason, I always have some money going into it. So let's say for right now, it's $25 a month. Okay, so you're going to add to your budget to add $25 to the emergency savings account every month. And then what you're going to do is you're going to take that amount that you had been adding every month, that extra money, minus $25, and you're going to start adding that to your next savings account. Now, the next savings account that I have here on the list, and the next one that I think is most important, is a health savings account. Now, you can get this through your insurance, but we have found that HSAs, true HSAs through insurance, have a very high deductible, which makes us nervous since we have children. Children break things. They break arms, legs, they fall off playgrounds, they just get hurt. So when it was just the two of us, we had a health savings account just for the two of us, and it worked fantastically. Actually, when we had our babies, all of the money that we needed to pay for having the children, for the birth and all of that, the postpartum, we were able to use from our health savings accounts, and we didn't have to pay anything out of pocket. So highly recommend doing that if it's just adults in the family, unless they're accident-prone adults. But if you have kids, what we have done is we've chosen an insurance plan that makes us comfortable, that has a little bit lower of a deductible, and then we opened our own bank account and we put money in there. We like to keep in there, I believe it's our deductible. I don't remember if it's, I would have to ask my husband if it's the full family max out of pocket for the year or the full deductible for one person. But we keep the amount in there where if we have a health crisis, we can take the money out of that account and it's not going to affect the rest of our budget. We will also use this if we need to go to Walgreens and our kids are all sick and we need to load up on a whole bunch of medications and cough drops and things like that. We will pull that out of our health savings account. If we need any dental work or any orthodontia, things like that will come out of this account. So if you decide to do a health savings account, figure out what dollar amount you want in there, just like before, and then figure out how much you want to put in this monthly. And with the emergency savings, you may think, okay, I have that amount, I don't need to add monthly. Sure, that's fine if you're comfortable with that. With the health savings account, you definitely want to add to it monthly, especially if you have kids, because it will take hits here and there. Like I said, kids break arms, at least ours do. Kids hurt themselves. Kids need to go to the urgent care so that we can get x-rays or whatever. And having this buffer, having this money there just makes it a lot less stressful when those things happen. So you definitely want to decide on a certain amount per month that you want to add to this account if you choose to do that. Now, the next account that we think is very important to have for our budget, and I definitely recommend you having for yours as well, is a car savings account. Now, what this means for us is my husband actually took the total amount that we pay for our insurance for the year, for any oil changes, maintenance, all of that stuff, and he divided it by 12. And he puts that amount into our car savings account every month, plus some extra. If our cars are getting to the point where they're nearing the end of their life, we start putting more money into this account so that when we need to purchase a car, we have quite a bit of it ready to go. So what you would do if you want to create a car savings account, once your health savings account and your emergency account are built up, you take the extra money minus whatever monthly you are putting into the emergency and health account, and you put that all into the car savings account until you reach your goal for that account. If you have brand new cars and you just have the maintenance, you can put a very small amount in here and you should be fine, right? But if your cars are a little bit older, maybe put a little bit more, maybe put a few thousand into this account before you move on to the next one. Now, the next account is a lot of fun. This is the vacation savings account. And we love having this account because when we have money in this account and we go on a vacation and we use that money, there is zero guilt associated with it because we had that set aside for a vacation for the family. So what you would do is once these other three are set up as much as you would like, you would take that extra money minus the monthly amount that's going into each of these. And again, the car savings, you definitely want to put some monthly in there as well. So minus the monthly amount would go into the vacation savings account. And this is a good time to build that up because you have this extra money. It hasn't been absorbed by the budget yet. So put a couple thousand or a few thousand even into this account right now as you're building these accounts up, because you probably won't get a big lump sum into this account in the future. Then I do also recommend on this one adding to it monthly because you're going to go on vacations and hopefully then you'll go on more. So you want to add to this every month to make sure you have some money set aside and you can go on those guilt-free vacations. Now, it may not always be fancy. Sometimes we use our vacation savings money even for things in our state. We will use this money to pay for ski passes or backpacking gear or things like that where we are using it to kind of take little mini vacations every single weekend. So it could even just be things like that, paying for your family's hobby. You can call it whatever you want, but it's just kind of your family's fun money that you can do fun things as a family together and make some of those memories with. Now, on the next page here, I have some what I would consider to be more optional savings accounts. You don't have to do these if you don't want to, but if you do want to build these up a little bit while you have this extra money that hasn't been absorbed into the rest of the budget, you would do the exact same thing that we did on the first page. So these are college savings accounts. We like to have these for each of our kids. Now, we have no plans of paying for their entire schooling. We didn't have parents who paid for our entire schooling. We had to pay for some of our own, and we don't necessarily think that was a bad thing. It taught us how to work hard, to pay off debt, and all of that stuff. And it also made us put some skin in the game as far as our education goes. So we both took it pretty seriously because we were paying for it. Our parents helped as much as they could. And that's kind of what we hope to do with our kids. We have a certain amount that each time we've had a child, we put a lump sum into their account to kind of get it started just because of the time value of money. And then we have a small amount, it's nothing crazy, that we put in every month. And we figure, when we have, for example, when we get tax refunds, often we will put some of that money into their accounts. But other than that, when they get to college, that it is what it is, and they can choose to go to in-state colleges if they want to save some money, or they can choose to go to out-of-state expensive colleges if they want to, but that's the money that they'll have, and we aren't going to put ourselves in a lot of debt for their college. So totally up to you. If you feel the want or need to contribute to your children's education, their continued education, this can be a really good account to set up. I do recommend having multiple accounts so that each child ends up with the same amount and child one doesn't take everybody else's money, as sometimes happens. So yeah, have one for each child if you choose to do that. You can also talk with a financial advisor, and the way that our children's accounts are set up, I believe they're at least partly tax-free, if not completely tax-free, but the catch is that they have to be used for education, which is fine with us. If all of our kids decide they don't want to continue their education, you are allowed to use it for someone else's education. So if we have nieces or nephews or friends or somebody else's child who wants to continue their education, we can use it for that. So the money isn't ever wasted. Another account that's kind of fun to have and take some stress off of a normally money stressful time of year is a Christmas savings account. What you do if you want to set up one of these accounts is decide how much your budget is for Christmas. Divide that by 12 and then add that into the account every year. Now, again, while you're kind of adding in this extra money, you have this money that hasn't been taken up by the rest of the budget yet, you can add a lump sum to kind of get it started for this first year. But I would caution you to not spend way more for this Christmas than you plan on doing other Christmases. Otherwise, it might lead to some disappointment. But obviously, you can do whatever you want with that. So just put whatever you want. This isn't one that you need to have lots and lots and lots of money in, but it is very handy to have some money set aside so that you aren't going into debt around that time of year. Then retirement savings accounts. This is another good one to build up as much as you can right now, because with the time value of money, the more you put in right now, the more you will have when you are retired. But obviously, you want to use your discretion. You aren't just going to put everything into your retirement from now until you retire. You want to build it up a little bit and then add a monthly payment that will be going towards your retirement. And the last one on this page is a personal savings account. Now, my husband and I both have these, one for me and one for him, and he puts just a small amount of money in each of our accounts every month. And it's kind of just our whatever we want money. If I want to save mine up and buy a jacket with it, as I have done before, because I like a lot of jackets, that's fine. And he can't give me grief for having too many jackets. And if he wants to use his, as he often does, to go visit a friend in another state, he can do that. And it's not taking money from the rest of the family or from the budget or anything like that. So it's just kind of our guilt-free fun money that we can do with as we want. If I decide that I want to go out to eat by myself one evening, I would take that out of this account. If I go out with girlfriends, I would take that out of this account. If I get myself a mani-pedi, I would take that out of this account. So it's just kind of whatever you want. And obviously, if you don't want to build that savings account or put money into savings accounts separately, you don't have to do that. But it is something that we have very much enjoyed. So then the last account that I have on here, and then I have some spaces for additional accounts if you want others that I didn't think of. But the last one that I have listed here is a slush account. Now, what you would do with a slush account is kind of fun. We actually don't have one, but I've heard other people talking about it, and it sounds like a really cool idea if it's something you would like to do. This is one that you're not going to build up. This is just for fun. And when you set up your final budget, and that's something I will show you how to do in the next video, you basically want it all to come out even at the end of the month, right? You want everything to kind of come out to zero between your savings and your expenses and then your income and your charity too, if you decide to donate to charity. The slush account is for any time you save any little extra bits of money. So for example, if you budget $600 for food, but it only costs you $550 for the month, you would take $50 and put it into the slush account. And that's for everything. Let's say you have $100 set aside for entertainment and you only use $25. $75 would go in the slush account. So what can be fun with the slush account, what I've heard people do with this, is you can only spend it on fun things. So maybe it's going out to eat as a family or going to the movies, going mini golfing. Maybe it's something bigger like a trampoline or a play set. And it kind of motivates everyone in the family to be on board with the savings and trying to save as much as possible so you can do some really fun things with that extra money. So like I said, then after that is the additional savings accounts, and that's pretty much it for this video. Let me know in the comments down below, how do you do it? Do you like to have one big account for your money? Do you like to separate things out like we do? And are there any accounts that you think people should have that I forgot? I always love hearing you guys' thoughts in the comments down below. As always, I'm Kassy with makingtimeforgiggles.com, and I make videos all about how to simplify your life so you can get 7 extra hours in your week. If that sounds like something you would be into, hit subscribe down below and ring the bell next to it, and I will see you on the next video.